Welcome to today's programming tutorial. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can check errors in your program. While it might seem silly, it's an important skill to have. The Python IDLE and the Visual Code extension that we use come with excellent error checking comments for you to see. Later on in this lesson as well, we're going to look at commenting. So there are two main types of errors that you need to be concerned about at this time. First one is a syntax error. Syntax, I want you to think as any sort of way of writing programming. Writing syntax is almost like writing grammar or just writing English in general. It's how you write the functions, how you write the subroutines, how you write the variables, the assignment operators, and so on. They're very easy to pick out because your program will not run if you have a syntax error. You then have a runtime error. A runtime error is when you have an error that happens or occurs during the running of your program. And there are a couple that we need to be careful of. Indentation error, name error, type error, and logical error. So let's look through all of these in depth. Syntax error, first and foremost, is quite easy to spot. Let's say I print the string hello world. Do you see anything wrong with this print statement? I've got a red underline here, and I've noticed that this is in red as well. This is because I don't have a closing bracket at the end of my statement. When I run this, I get a syntax error, and it tells me where the error is, or what the error is, and what line the error is on. In this case, my error is on line 2. This is a syntax error because I've written the print statement incorrectly. This happens with anything though, not just subroutines. If I forget to put a speech mark, it comes out with an error. If I create a variable, let's say I create a variable called my name, I forget the speech mark, I'll also get a syntax error. So syntax errors are very easy to spot because it's just when you've written something wrong in your program. Let's now look at logical errors. I'll fix this one up so that the program ignores it. So going through runtime errors, which include logical errors. An indentation error occurs when you've indented something incorrectly in Python. Now this is something that you won't really come across much at this current time. But when you start doing selection statements, you'll find this error coming up a lot. Let's say I print hello world. Nothing wrong with this statement. But if I have this indented, you'll notice I get this little red line here. When I run the program, I get this indentation error. Indentation means the spacing before a statement. Python uses 4 spaces to put things within other things. You'll understand this more when we move through our next lesson. Let's comment this out so it doesn't affect the program. A name error occurs whenever you've created something but it can't find it. For example, if you've created a variable name, let's create one, let's copy and paste this one over here. And let's put it with speech marks at the end. If I print my name before I create it, I'm going to come up with an error. It says name error, my name is not defined. That not defined basically means that it doesn't exist yet. And that is on line 9. This is more evidence to show you that programming reads from top to bottom. I have to make sure that this is underneath that name for it to work. Similarly, if I put in a capital letter, those two variables are not the same. Therefore, I'll end up with a name error once again. Let's now look at a type error. We've come across this already. A type error occurs whenever we are trying to do something with 2 different types that are incompatible, like a string and an integer. Remember, this arithmetic operator turns into a concatenation operator when it's after a string. So I'm going to come up with a type error that says concatenation issue between string and int. Here we go. Type error can only concatenate string, not int, to string. If I flip this round and I put 15 here and I add hello on this side, I'll end up with a type error, but it'll come up different. Because this is now an arithmetic operator, the left side is a number, it'll come up to tell me that it can't understand what to do with the operand. There we go. Unsupported operand type for plus, int and string, because you cannot arithmetically add 15 and hello. You should know how to fix these type errors using typecasting from a previous lesson. Now, a logical error is one of the harder ones to spot. Let me show you an example. Let's create a number here, another one over here. We'll create a results, and then we're going to print out the results. Nice simple addition program. We get 15. Now this is all fine, but what if I were to put speech marks around these two numbers? When I run this, I get 510. Now the program works perfectly fine, but the issue here is that I've got a logical error in my program. I'm concatenating two strings instead of adding the two numbers that I want to add. A logical error happens or occurs when your program is running fine, but the output of your program is not what you expected. Again, this is one of the more harder errors to find because nothing actually happens in your program in terms of no errors appear in the console. So it can be quite difficult to spot. Lastly, let's go over comments. A comment denoted by a hashtag for a single line comment is a way of writing notes in your code. It's a way of making sure that other people around you who read your code understand what each line does. Or if you're like me and you have short-term memory, it helps you remember in a couple of weeks what your code was intending to do. The program will ignore the comments, so you can write it wherever you want. Now I've shown you the hashtag one, which gives you a single line. Can you remember how we do paragraphs in the print statements? We do paragraphs by using 3 speech marks to open and 3 speech marks to close. So by doing this, we can create a paragraph comment as long as it's not inside a print statement. Comments are really useful, and you should get used to writing comments everywhere in your code that is important. You don't need to write a comment absolutely everywhere. For example, if I have a variable called times 2 times 2, and I put 4, I don't need to put a comment here to say this stores the answer of 2 times 2. It's already quite obvious from the variable name what this stores, so this comment is completely redundant. Additionally, you don't need to put a comment for every single line of code. You could put a paragraph as a summary at the top, or you could put single line comments next to anything that you think is not explained very well by the variable name, or by the code itself. Now, if you have the extension installed called Better Comments, there's much more you can do, which is quite cool. If you put an asterisk after it, your comments will turn green. If you put an exclamation mark, your comments will turn red. If you put a question mark, your comments turn blue. And if you put to do in capitals, it turns orange. This is only accessible if you have the extension Better Comments. And it lets you organize your comments or your notes a bit more than just using the hashtag or the 3 speech marks. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope you found it helpful.